Tricia Gibson.
Chair, and I want to also begin by congratulating the member for Aberconwy for securing this debate on energy and small business. Wholesale energy prices are falling, and that must be welcomed. But this cannot be used as a reason to justify reducing support for business energy bills, because despite these falls in energy wholesale prices, many businesses, thousands of businesses in Scotland alone, and we've heard about this right across the UK, are still stuck on contracts based on prices which were fixed during last year's energy price peak. If businesses are to survive, that energy support from the UK Government continues to be vital. And the UK Government must also work with energy suppliers to ensure they offer more flexible contracts so that businesses benefit from falling prices rather than being trapped in more expensive long-term fixed contracts. Energy prices reached record levels in the third quarter of last year, and since then, wholesale prices have reduced, with prices halving between January and June of this year. However, average wholesale gas prices were around double that seen in June in the 5 years up to 2021. The Energy Bill Discount Scheme provided much less support than the previous Energy Bill Relief Scheme, and this is despite the fact that companies on fixed contracts signed during a period of record high energy prices. So when we talk about wholesale energy prices falling, the impact of this on small business is inconsistent and varied. Indeed, the Federation of Small Business found that 13% of small firms fixed their energy bills between July and December last year, which means they are paying 3 times the current rate per kilowatt for electricity. Far too many small firms are now entangled in high fixed tariffs. 93,000 small firms said they could be forced to close, downsize, or radically restructure their business because of a reduction in support with their energy bills. And every single MP across the entire House of Commons will have had small business contacting them every week because they are so concerned about the energy costs on their very viability. And of course, energy bills are only one, a vital one, but they're only one of a tidal wave of challenges businesses are currently facing, with high interest rate, low investment, high costs on labour and skill shortages. And that's even before you factor in the fact that customers have less money to spend on non-essential items during the cost of living crisis. 82% of businesses in Scotland admitted to being concerned about energy costs going into the third quarter of this year. And that's hardly surprising when one considers that non-domestic energy customers in Scotland have higher energy prices than any other country in the UK. Prices in North Scotland and Central and Southern Scotland are the second and third highest of any region in the UK, with Central and Southern Scotland also paying the highest standing charges of 89.5 pence per day. And this is particularly galling when Scotland is an energy-rich country, producing more energy than it uses. Yet Scottish businesses are offered above-average market prices, unlike their counterparts in the rest of the UK. Figures released by the National Grid highlighted that by 2026-27, Scottish generators will have to pay around £465 million per year in transmission charges, whilst renewable developments in England and Wales will receive a subsidy of around £30 million per year. How can this be anything but a barrier to renewable energy companies setting up in Scotland? As for the beleaguered hospitality sector, which we've heard much about today, the situation continues to be critical, with almost half of those who signed an energy contract at the peak of the energy crisis fearing that their business is at risk of failure. Pubs, bars and restaurants saw their energy prices surge by 81% in the year up to May 2023, on top of the soaring cost of food and wages rising. Attempts to absorb these costs has bred unsustainable business practices which cannot indefinitely continue. And every day we know of We know of players in the hospitality sector going to the wall, sometimes after a lifetime of building up a business. It's vital for small businesses across Scotland and the UK that the UK Government fully recognises the scale of these challenges and works with Ofgem in the wake of its review into the energy market and take on board its range of recommendations for changes to regulation to increase transparency and rebalance the power between the energy supplier and small businesses. And I look forward to the Minister agreeing to this when she gets to her feet. It remains the case, and I've said this in a number of debates, it remains the case that there is little point in the UK Government supporting businesses as they did during COVID, during the pandemic, for these businesses only to be broken on the rocks shortly thereafter of unsustainable energy charges. So I say to the Minister that, as she will know, businesses need some certainty after these tumultuous times, and I hope when the Minister gets to her feet, she will provide some of that certainty.